Hello everybody, welcome to Notebooks, PowerShell and Excel automation, because everything is awesome. My name's Rob Sewell, my pronouns are he and him. This is what I look like. Hiya! I'm a consultant. I like to help people to automate things. I help do training, and I'm lucky enough to be a dual MVP in data platform and in cloud and data center management. I'm involved in open source projects like DBA tools, DBA checks, ADS notebooks. I live in both the PowerShell community and the data community. Chrissy Lemaire and I are writing a book called DBA Tools in a Month of Lunches. You can see the link there on the screen. And you can get in touch with me at SQL with Beard on Twitter. And this is what I look like. This is where I spend most of my time. Sat at my desk. Normally I do have a pussycat sat here. And just like you, I spend all of my time looking at my screens. I'm so pleased to be back in India. I was lucky enough to be in Bangalore last year, in the before times. And I know this time is only virtually, but I can remember the food, the smell of the food. I loved it so much. I got to see some of the sights, looking around, all the magical colours and noises. I found my shop, House of Handsomes. I thought it fits quite well. I watched some sport on the television. Apparently it's very popular, but I didn't understand all of the hand-holding. But I did get to watch some cricket. What a delight to be able to go to India where cricket is so important and be able to watch real, live, actual cricket. It's not quite like the cricket that I play, but you know, it was very, very fun to watch. We had a lot of fun chatting about cricket. And I took some selfies. I took lots of selfies. We had a whole bundle of fun taking great photos. Yep, that front one is my favourite of all. And of course, at the Data Platform Summit, you can win prizes by posting a selfie with a hashtag, put it on Twitter, see if you can win a prize. So here, let's have a selfie. Take a selfie with me right now. Post it on Twitter. Hi. Smile. Smile for the camera. Everybody smile. Here we go. Are we all ready? Yes. Let's take some selfies. Take your selfie. Put it on Twitter with a hashtag. See if you can win a prize. That would be amazing. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds and then you can take some selfies with me. Are you ready? All of those fabulous selfies. Thank you so much. Now, it's the UK here. We've got fireworks going off outside. But for you, it's live. And somewhere I'm here as well, twice. I'm here in the video and I'm here in the chat somewhere. And what I'd really like you to do is to ask me questions during the session, especially during the demos. Ask me questions about what you see so that I can help you to understand and you can learn a bit more. Ask them down there and I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. Here are the answers to some of the common questions that we get. So, number one question, where are the slides? All of my slides you can always find at beard.media /presentations. You can also find all of my code that I've used in all of my presentations that I've ever done. And that'll link you to my GitHub where you can find a lot of other things that I do. If you go to beard.media/notebooks with a capital N, then you're going to be able to find all of the Jupyter notebooks that I've created. Now that's going to include the ones that we use in this demo. You can also find me on Twitter at SQLDBA with Beard. Please feel free to ask me questions via there. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you'd like to read the things that I write, you can find them. Thank you, kitten. You can find them at blog.robsewell.com. So, the kitten's already shown you the next slide, but it's a pop quiz. Put your answers in the chat. In organisations, where is most data used? Let's see what answers you give me. I wish I could read them and then we could talk about them live, but that's just not happening. So let's see what we've got. Write your answers in the chat. Maybe you're going to say SSRS, reporting services. Maybe you're going to say Power BI or Tableau. Wonder what it is that you're going to write in the chat as the answer to this question. Let's see. Okay, I'll give you 2 more seconds and then we'll have a look at the answer. Because of course, the answer is Excel. Absolutely. The answer is Excel. And it is astonishing how many processes depend upon Microsoft Excel. It's a fantastic program. It does so much, from very simple things that we can do up to really, really complex manipulations of data. Did you know that according to Microsoft, more than 1.2 billion people, that'll be the kitten again. Did you know, according to Microsoft, more than 1.2 billion people use Microsoft Office? That's 16% of the world's population. It's absolutely insane how many people use it. I've been using PowerShell to automate Excel for a long time. In fact, that first blog post that's mentioned there is my favourite PowerShell script that I've written. It was the first one that I felt really did something amazing. I check hundreds and hundreds of SQL agent jobs in just 60 seconds, simply by opening an Excel sheet. And I carried on writing more blog posts and using Excel automatically with PowerShell. Doug Fink wrote the import Excel PowerShell module, and along with a guy called James O'Neill, they've carried on developing it throughout the years. And as this tweet says, thank goodness we no longer have to work manipulating COM objects. We can just use this module. And in fact, you don't even need to have Microsoft Office installed on a machine to be able to run import Excel and work with Excel files. So that makes it really cool for automating, say, with a SQL agent job, because you can run it on a server where you can't install Office anymore, and it'll just work and create the Excel files for you. It's absolutely fantastic, and we're going to have a good look at this module, see how it works. We're also going to talk about Jupyter. Now this is the planet Jupyter. In fact, it's the south pole of the planet Jupyter. taken on a flyby by Juno. But that's not the Jupyter we're going to be talking about, of course. We're going to be talking about this Jupyter. Jupyter with a Y. And why are we going to do that? Because what's this got to do with us? So this is Simon. This one is Terry. And they're good friends of mine. And they're data scientists. And they do amazing things with predicting models using Spark and Scala and R, and do all of these amazing, wonderful things that I just don't understand. And data scientists are the people who created Jupyter Notebooks. They wanted to be able to populate their data and to be able to reproduce their methods of doing so. But in the time that's moved on since these were created, other teams have realised that Jupyter Notebooks are really cool. They enable us to do so many other things. And one of the things that we can do is run PowerShell and keep the results. So I thought it would be a good way to look at both options and see what it was that we could do, not just with notebooks, but also with the import Excel module. All good sessions should have an advert break. So thank you very much, Microsoft. Thank you for supporting the data platform community and all that you do. Come on, Rob. What is a Jupyter Notebook? You haven't actually said, you've said some stuff about data sciences and R and what's a Jupyter Notebook? Guys, it's really simple. It's basically a document, cool, that contains text, executable code, images, but best of all, number one greatest reason for using notebooks, it includes the query results. So when we run a Jupyter Notebook, we can execute the code from within it, and the results that come back are saved with the notebook. So they're presented to us alongside the code that we've written. I think they're totally amazing. So, normally what I'd say is, does anybody have any questions? But of course, hopefully you're just asking questions as we go along. Now, we're going to have time to look at some code and to look at a demo. So, time for some presentations. For you, it's just a few minutes later. For me, it's the next day. It's the wonderful thing about recordings. So, let's start with, where do we find the presentations? beard.media/presentations. It's going to take you to my presentations repository. You know that you're in the year 2020 because it's the weirdest year we've had for ages. We're at DPS, and here we've got import Excel. Let's have a look at a cool thing about notebooks. So one of the good things about notebooks is when we save them in GitHub, if we have a look at them in the browser, then they can render. And you can see everything that would be happening. You can see all of the code. You can't run it. Okay, there are ways of doing that with something called Binder, but you can at least see what's going on. Anyway, let's have a look in Azure Data Studio. Here is the very same notebook that you were just looking at, perfectly explained. But let's start with, how do we work with notebooks? It's just a quick introduction to notebooks within Azure Data Studio. So we can always do Control Shift and P, and that is going to turn on. There we go. So Control Shift and P, that's going to give us our command palette, and then we can go up and down, or we can just search. So if we type notebook, it's going to give us all the notebook options that we have available to us. The most recent ones are going to rise to the top. So we're going to do a new notebook, and that's going to open up a new notebook. And as you can see at the top, we've got some kernels. Now these aren't like Linux kernels, these are just the languages that we can use. In fact, technically they're packages that are running in Python. So we've got SQL, we've got Spark, Scala, R, Python, and we've got PowerShell. And for these, we can just change, we can run. Maybe we're going to have a connection for our SQL one. For our PowerShell, it's going to change kernel, and that's going to attach to our local host. Got a cell button here. If we click on this, we've got the option of a code cell or a text cell. So our code cell is going to enable us to write some PowerShell. And as you can see, that we're going to get some IntelliSense coming through. We can then hit the play button. That is going to run our PowerShell and give us our results. And in fact, we can then save those results within our notebook. So they're going to be available to us. Really useful. One of my favorite things about notebooks is the fact that I could start a notebook, I could start doing some investigation within it, I could write some text to say what I've been doing, and I can run my code and keep my results. So I can come back to you and say, yes, at this time I did this thing. Here are my results. This is the steps that I took and how I resolved this issue. Now you could do it too. Here is a notebook, I can share this with you so that you can do exactly the same thing. It's a really neat way of being able to work with notebooks, be able to work with incidents, maybe run books, maybe things we do regularly. Also good for presentations, as we can see here. Let's show something else cool. We've looked at our code. Let's have a look at a text cell. Now, when you open up a text cell, this is what it's going to look like. You've got the option, probably you want to start with a header. This is my amazing notebook. We'll change that to paragraph. I have a cat on my desk again. That didn't quite work. I thought that would be a little bit smaller. There we go. I have a cat on my desk again. I can maybe make that bold. I have a cat underlined on my desk again. Oh no. So we can do this sort of work. If you are comfortable with it, you can use Markdown. So this has transformed the code, the words that we've written, into Markdown. I'm really comfortable working with Markdown, so I can quite happily have a smaller heading, even also heading, and some words. Maybe I will add a link. So link. Yes. Well, it would only be fair to do. It would only be fair to do my own link, really. So we could do that. And there we go. Now we've got a link. If we click on our link, it's going to say, would you like to open this external website? Excellent. I'm really happy doing that. If you're not so happy doing that, then you could use the WYSIWYG editor, and then you could add yourself a link by using, I don't actually rightly know, by using a different method. We can add some code like this. So this would be our code. There we go. Got code written in here. Let's have a look at the best thing though. When we're writing run books or when we're responding to incidents, one of the things we might want to do is take a screenshot of a problem that we've got. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to, let's come down to here. Let's make that not code anymore. Oops. Let's add a new text cell. There we go. And I'm going to take a screenshot. So I'm going to go Shift, Windows key and S, and that's going to give me the screenshot capability. And I'm going to do this. And then all I'm going to do in here is paste. And you are going to find, when you do it, you just get the picture. Here we go. Just approved, absolutely live. Here it is. This is a screenshot of my recording software saying this is my amazing notebook. I've got a cat on my desk. He's just jumped down because he thinks it's food time. And we've just put that straight in. How cool is that? Isn't that just the most amazing thing? I think this is wonderful. It's one of my favorite features. There's a very, 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 very quick introduction to using Jupyter Notebooks. And what I want you to do is go and have a look at some of my other videos. There's plenty on YouTube and various conferences I've been to. You'll find that they're all slightly different. They start off the same and then I head off on different tangents away showing different things. If you want to explore my Jupyter Notebooks repository, we've got our, where is it? There we go. We've got our, or my GitHub. If we go back up to the root, we've got Jupyter Notebooks. And in here, you're going to find a whole bundle of notebooks. We've got not.NET. These are the ones we're using at the moment. I do some other presentations with .NET notebooks. And we've got all of these different folders. So maybe we're going to pick up something about agents. Here are some things that we can do with agent jobs and notebooks. Lots of things to explore there. Feel free to go and explore them, make use of them, make them better, use them in other things. The only thing I ask is that when you do something cool, just let me know, because I like to see what cool things people do. So, we're talking about using PowerShell to interact with Excel. So, here is our notebook. We're going to talk about working with Excel. So I'm going to use the Import Excel module, written by Doug Fink, and a guy called James O'Neill, an English guy, has done a lot of work on making improvements to it. Him and Doug have created a really great module, which they keep updated very regularly. It's open source. It's something they do because they love it and because they use it. And it's something they give away for free, so you can just go and get it. But how do we go and get it? If you have this notebook, then you can just run this first line of code. And what we've got here is, if you have the module, we'll update it. If not, we'll install the module. Install module, name of the module, and we'll do -scope current user, because then it's going to come into your own user directory and you won't need any permissions to install it. If you're at a Windows machine and you don't use scope current user, then it's going to want to install it as admin into the all users profile. So now that we've made sure that we've got our module, what we can do is we can see how many commands we've got. Have a list of the commands. So we're going to have a look. It says get command -module and the name of the module. So you can use this to explore any PowerShell module that you have. If you want to see which commands are available to it, then just run this. And you see we've got a number of commands available. Here they are. Add Excel table, column charts, we've got get range, import Excel, a whole bundle of things. And what you always want to do is you want to learn how to use a PowerShell command. Okay, so in Azure Data Studio, I'm going to do a control and a single quote, and that's going to bring up my terminal. And we'll make that larger there. And the way to find out how to use any module at all is to go get dash help, and well, we could use get process, and that's going to give us I've just forgot to put get help. It's going to give us information if we just put get dash help about the help service. Let's actually put something in afterwards, Rob. That would be a good idea. Get process. There we go. Right, so this is going to give us the information how to use get process, what it does, and the syntax that we can use. Give us a description, and it also says down here for examples, this is what you run. If you want more information, then do the detailed. If you wanted to get the online help, then use get process dash online. That's how you can find out how to use any of the commands. So now we don't need to do anything else. That's it. I've told you the name of the module. You know how to install it. You know how to find the name of all the commands, run get help, and then whatever the name of the command is, and you can work out how to use it. I'm quite silly, as you noticed, but I'm quite serious as well, because it's really important that you follow that path and you understand how to go and help yourself to work with PowerShell and to be able to see how it works. You'll understand and learn much quicker and get better at using it. But let's show how Import Excel works. So I'm going to start off with showing the power of DBA tools. We're going to get the logins for all of our, on our instance actually, it's just one, just localhost. With get DBA login, we've picked our local host, and I've put format table so that it comes out in a table. By default it comes out as an object and it gets listed. So we can see all of the logins that we've got on this particular instance. Now, we're talking about Excel because your users, they want stuff in Excel. Maybe you do too. So with the Import Excel module, we're going to make use of piping. This is the pipe symbol here, and it works very simply. What is on the left is run, and the results are piped to the next command that's along the pipeline. So in this scenario, get DBA login SQL instance localhost will run, and the results of that command are going to pass down the pipeline to export Excel, and then it's going to export it to a path. This command invoke item is then going to open the file with its default program. So hopefully it's still Excel. So we'll press play, and immediately that has opened up on a different screen, but there we go. And we've got our logins just into Excel, and it took that much time. So quick. But if we look at it, and let's do... No, that's not what we want to do. We want to do this one, don't we? Here we go. If we look, we can't really see what the name is of these columns. It'd be nice if we could just use that auto fit thing that Excel has. Okay, that's quite easy. We just add this parameter auto size. So we do exactly the same thing. We're going to get our logins. We're going to pipe them through to export Excel into a path, but this time we're going to auto size the results. We're going to open our Excel. You can see it's flashing there, and now our column headings are all automatically sized. So that's really cool. Never quite works with dates and times. Don't know why, but it's always just slightly out. But everything else has worked as we expected. So that's really good. But when I create a table and I want it auto size, normally the next thing I want to be able to do is to filter it so I can choose what my data is, which data I view. So to do that with import Excel, all we need to do is add the auto filter parameter. So we're going to get our logins again. We're going to pipe the results of that command into Export Excel, and then we're going to give it a path, an auto size, an auto filter, and then we're going to open it again. Okay, so here it goes. There it is, flashing away. And this time, as you can see, we've got, let's find something we can filter on. There we go, login type. Choose our login type, and now I say I only want to look at SQL logins. Ta-da! Really neat. Going to be really useful for you and for your users. All right, that's nice, but we don't want everything to be in sheet 1. We want to give it a proper name for our worksheet, and maybe we want to give a title to our table, and maybe I don't want to use invoke item, maybe I just want it all in one line. Here we go. So now we're going to have our logins. We're going to pipe the results to Export Excel, give it a path. We're going to automatically size the, let's make sure we get that right, automatically size the columns. We're going to add our filtering. We're going to give it a title the logins, and we're going to have a worksheet name, and then we're going to use this show parameter. So we'll hit play, and sure enough, there's our Excel sheet again, and this time we've hang on a minute. What's happening here? What's happening here is Rob hasn't got Zoom It running, but also there's our sheet 1. Here's our new sheet, our login sheet, but it's added it behind. So it's opened up our Excel and added it through. So it's really cool, because if we pass in a path of an Excel workbook that already exists, we can add a new sheet to it. That's neat. This time we didn't really want this. We'd rather have something a little bit nicer. So let's close that one. And now I'm going to show you the code with some splatting, because otherwise it's just going to run off the end of the screen, and we're going to have to keep scrolling horizontally. Nobody wants to do that. And I think when we splat a command, it sounds funny, but also it means that we can read it a little bit easier. So this is how we do our splatting. We're now going to add in the parameters for our module, for our command, as a hash table. So we're going to say the path is going to be equal to this path here. We've got our auto size, but we need to set it to true, auto filter, title, our worksheet name, and this time we're going to add move to start. So the new worksheet that it adds, it's going to move to the front. We're going to have a title background color, so you can see that I've definitely made a change. And we're going to add in freeze top row. That's really cool when you freeze the top row and you can just scroll your rows up and down. Excellent. And then we're going to add our show so that our Excel automatically opens. Then we do the same thing. We're going to get our logins as a command, and we're going to pipe the results through to Export Excel, and this time we pass in this. So it's an @ sign and Export Excel params, which is what we've called our hash table variable, our splat. So press play, and straight away we've got our Excel worksheet. There we go. Yellow background, so we know that we definitely did it. We've got our results. They're filtered or filterable. They're auto-sized, and our logins, as we can see, logins worksheet has moved to the front. That's neat. So once you can understand that this is the basic premise of how you could make use of Export Excel, When you know that whatever it is that you put here and then pipe through to export Excel, you can use in whatever format you like. Any command that you write, whether you're running PowerShell against SQL Server, against Azure, against VMware, maybe Office 365, maybe your Windows machine, doesn't matter. As soon as you've got the results of any command, you can pipe it into Export Excel. So let's have a look at some use cases. Maybe we're going to take a look at some spelling mistakes that Rob's made. So let's just make that, because it looks a bit better if we spell it properly. We've got our splat, and this time we're going to dynamically create a title. So within this, we can actually run this on any machine, and it's going to come up with that machine's computer name, because we're using the environment variable and computer name. We're going to call the worksheet services. We're going to move it to start. We'll give it a title this time of dark grey. Now, the problem with the previous worksheet was that we froze the top pane, but the top pane was the title. So actually we want the thing that's frozen to be the column headings. And what you do is you use the freeze pane parameter, and then you give it the value of the row and the column that you wish to freeze. And it's a 0-based array, so we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. Why have I chosen 3? 1, 2, 3. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to have a show equals true. This time we're going to get our services. So we're going to get the information about the services on our window machine, and that's exported straight away. And there we go. We've got our services. My machine's called Beard Desktop. Can't imagine why. And what we've got is we've got our services worksheet. There's our services worksheet. And now we've got all of our information about our services. So maybe we want to find anything to do with, let's unselect that, anything to do with SQL. There we are. We'll have all of those, and boom, we've got everything. That's cool. Grab all of our service information, put it into an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe we want to get our processes. You could run this one. It takes a little bit long, so I'm not going to run it during our demo here. You do the same thing with Windows event logs. Now remember, we said we could add multiple sheets to our workbook just by running Export Excel again. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to set our Export Excel parameters, and we're going to get our Windows events for system and our Windows events for application, and then we will export them to everything in this parameter. So the same path, auto size, filter, title, move to start, title background color, and we're going to freeze the top pane. But this time we're going to have the worksheet name down here, because we're going to have one for our system, and then the last one is going to be the application, and that's where our show parameter is going to go. I'm going to run that command whilst the kitten comes up. And now we've got our event log on Beard Desktop, and we've got some information there. And if we look down at the bottom, we've got application and we've got system. There's our system event log as well. So that's really, really neat. Don't sit on the keyboard. Do the same with our error logs. Just use get DBA error log. We can export it out to an Excel sheet. I'm just going to run that. It's going to go and read our error log. The time it takes to do this is going to be equivalent to the amount how big your SQL error log is. So hopefully you're rotating them every day. And here's our error log. And we can scroll up and down. We've frozen on the third row. That's why it's number 3, Rob. And we can filter by, thank you very much, Seek. Let's just put you there. There we go. And you can filter by the log date, won't work. Let's let's filter by no, we're not going to filter by anything. Totally confused me, that kid did. So that's really neat. But actually, what about if we just ran some code and we could just do that all in one hit? Something's gone wrong. Boof, we don't know what's got wrong. Maybe we want to check all of our logs on our instance. Well, how about if we just want to get all the services that are running, we're going to get the processors, we're going to get the Windows event logs for the last however long, we're going to get our SQL Error Log, maybe we want to check our disk space, maybe we've got other things we could do. So any of the results of any PowerShell command, we could put those together into something like this. And this time we're going to create an incident Excel workbook. So we'll run that. It's not going to take particularly long to run. There we go. It opens up, and this time we've got, if we look down at the bottom, we've got everything all together. So we've got our SQL Error Log, we've got our application, we've got system, we've got processes, and we've got our services, and all of those sat into our Excel workbook. Really quick. That was neat. I like that. But can we make it better? Of course we can. We could definitely make this better. So what about if we added a front page? Add all of the information. What about a front page that could say what happened? Maybe we want to give a date to our Excel as well. So we're going to put in our SQL instance. We'll format our date, pass in our directory, and then we'll create a file name. So file name is going to be the directory, the date, underscore incident for the name of the SQL instance and the XLS. So that's a good start. Now this looks the same, so we're going to export our Excel to our file path. We're going to add auto size, filter, move to start, freeze top row. Those are all the same. And we're going to get our services, our logs. We're going to add those all to our Excel. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this Open Excel package. So we've created and saved an Excel workbook. Now we're going to open it again, and we're going to use the Add Worksheet command, which surprisingly enough is going to add a worksheet. And we're going to say, add me a worksheet called title, move it to the start, and we're going to pipe that to out null, so we don't get any output, because we don't want anything else. We don't need to tell our users all of the things that we're doing. They just want to run this notebook and get a magic Excel. Now we need to do a little bit of work, so we're going to make sure that we get our title worksheet. So we've got our Excel object, and we go to workbook, worksheets, title. Now we're going to get our date to a string, and then we're going to add in on the cells A1 the value. This worksheet shows the system event log, application log, blah 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 for SQL instance at the date. And then we're going to add some formatting. So to add our formatting, we need to know which cells we're going to format. So we're going to use set Excel range, and then we say on this worksheet the range is A1 because we've only got one cell. Now if you're building up a front page, you probably want to have a little bit more information, but you can see how you can do that. You can use your cells and your values, and then you can set a range, and we're going to bold, we're going to say the font size is 22, we're going to add an underline. In fact, we're going to add a double underline with underline type. And there are other parameters that you can do to do further formatting. So once we've added our worksheets in the Excel object that we've opened, we've added some words, we've formatted it, then we close our Excel package, And this time we're going to write out to our notebook. It's done some work. Here is where my file is saved. And then we're going to open it. So we're going to press play, and that's going to go off and do that thing. And very soon it's going to open. There we go. And this time we've got our front page. There we go. Double underlined. This worksheet shows the system event log, blah, 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 blah. And we could add more information if we want to. We've still got our worksheets with all of our information that we've gathered. That's pretty neat. This is the sort of thing that you could build up as a run book for gathering information to give to people if they want lots of different types of information. For giving to your manager, yeah, well, here is the disk sizes, here is the number of databases, here are the number of instances, get all those information into one Excel sheet. There you go. You can just have this, make it nice and easy. Also really good for instant response, gathering all the information together, putting it in an Excel sheet. If you want it in an Excel sheet, I would say you put it straight into a notebook, but that's every horse for a different course. So, other things that we like to do in Excel. Read data from a database and create some pretty pictures. So, let's do some charts and some graphs and some pivot tables. So, we've got a SQL query from a commonly known bicycle manufacturing firm, AdventureWorks. And all we're going to do is we're going to take the top 25,000, we're going to grab the name of the object, the date, and how many were sold. And we're going to run that with invoke DBA query against our instance and our database, and put the results to a variable, and then pass the variable down the pipeline to export Excel. So the process is still the same. We're still gathering our results, putting them down a pipeline, giving them to the next command, which is export Excel, and then carrying on our work. All of those results pass down, come out of our Excel sheet. So we'll press play. We've taken a little bit longer to run our query because we're running. There we go. We're manipulating 25,000 rows this time, but here we go. So we've got all of that detail. So here we go. 25,000 rows. Oh, see, it's not so clever, is it? What we've got is we've got these extra columns here. We've got a row error, a row state table, but we only wanted these ones. Why have those other ones come out? It's a problem with our data table object that we get returned from invoke DBA query. And that it has these additional properties on it. And we have said, take these results and pass them down the pipeline. So that's what PowerShell's done. It doesn't know that we don't want those. So it's a little bit annoying, but the way that we can resolve it is to use this bit of code. So we've got select star, exactly what you think of it is, and then we say exclude property, item array, row error, row state, table, and has errors. Those are the additional things that PowerShell, or in fact .NET, puts on the end of a data table object, or a data row object, and that PowerShell just passes down the pipeline. So we're going to take that away by not selecting it, and then we're going to export it to Excel. And I was running that while I was explaining, and there we go. Excellent. So that looks much better. Now we just have our 3 columns that we want and no extra. Beautiful. Be better if it was formatted. Well, let's take the formatting up another level as well. So we've still got our auto filter and our auto size and freezing our top row. Taking away the title because we don't really need that so much. But now we've got a table style. So we're going to add ourselves a table style to see what we get this time. We're going to use the dark one. Whoa, it's a bit scary. It's just gone Halloween. Was when I wrote this. Here we go. So now we've got, look at that, isn't that beautiful? A nice dark table, and you can create the table with any of the color schemes that are going on. So we've gathered some information from our SQL database. It would be good if we could actually have a chart. I'm going to start this one running as well. It takes no time. And set our file path, and this time we're going to run this query. So this query is going to get the year and the sum of the sales from our sales order detail table. And we're going to export this to our Excel sheet, all exactly the same as we've done before. But this time we're going to have a chart. We're going to give it a title. We're going to have a column clustered chart. A year, total sales, place it in column 4 and not have a legend. So our X range and our Y range, we can define either as our column and row ranges or the name of the object. So the name of the column in the object. So because we've returned year and total sales out of our query, that's what we're going to use down here. We're going to run our invoke DBA query to get our results. We're going to export them to Excel. This time we're going to do a little bit more. So this time we're going to use this pass-through parameter, and that's going to take all of this, pass it back to be saved within this Excel variable. So it's going to be an object. Then we're going to remove the worksheet sheet 1 because we never use it. We don't really want it there. Let's make life look a little bit neater. So we're going to remove the worksheet and we're going to use the full name, and this is the file path. Even though we've got our Excel object saved here, we use the file path and it gives us a little, come back, thank you. It gives us a little warning saying I can't find the file path because we haven't actually saved at this point, but it works. Then we're going to create our Excel chart with Excel chart definition. That's going to use this splat. And then we're going to export our Excel. We're going to export the package, which is this object that we created without a worksheet and with an added chart. And then we're going to say this is where we add the chart, Excel chart definition. And then we're going to say on the worksheet name, beards are awesome, because beards are awesome. And then we're going to show it. So we're going to run that. I'd already run that, hadn't I? So we can just open this up. Here we go. Now we've got our table with our results from our database and a chart. Excellent. Beards are awesome. So we'll close that. And you know what? I'm a DBA. I like donuts. So just to show that you have other things that you can do, you can make use of all of the different chart types. You can add in the legend and the title and all of the things that you expect to be able to alter. You just use the help, go and explore the command, and you can add in the definition. This does exactly the same as the one before, except it gives me a chart with a title of Beardy Chart of Total Sales by Year as a donut because he loves donuts. Just a hint, if you ever want to, you see me, bring me a donut, I'll be happy. Unless I'm on a diet, of course. So one of the other things that we do with Excel is we use pivot tables. I'm definitely going to start this one running now because this query does take a little bit longer to go because there's like 250,000 rows in this table, I think. So we're going to create a pivot table out of our data. So we've got our file path the same. This is our query. Pretty simple query, just get the name, the order date, the quantity, but all of them this time. We're going to do our results, our invoke query. This is the part that's taking the longest because it has to do 250,000 operations because it's PowerShell, it's .NET. What it's doing is it's taking every data row and it's selecting everything except for the things we've asked it not to, and then putting it through. So it's just what it needs to do. And we're going to export this out to Excel. I'm going to use the Excel file path on the worksheet name base query. The table, of course, is called Beards Are Awesome, and it's going to be dark again. I'm going to auto size and we're going to auto filter. This time we're going to move to the start, freeze top row, show, pass through, all the things that we've already talked about. And we're going to add in a pivot table. So we give it a name, we tell it which worksheet we're working on, and then we add in pivot data. And when you add in your data to a pivot table, you can pick the data and then it'll ask you, do you want to sum, do you want to average, all of those choices. And that's what we're doing here. So we're creating ourselves a hash table with an @ sign and a curly brace, and then we are choosing the column. So this is going to be our order quantity, and then we're saying that we would like to sum that one, please. And then we're going to add our pivot rows, and we're going to add order date and order name. And this order is important. This is the order that will appear within your pivot table. By the time I've done all of that talking, it has done. So let's have a look. No, I don't want to start Excel in safe mode. We can just carry on going. So we've got our table as we expected, and we've got our beardy pivot table, and that's given us our, well, it's done what we asked. It's giving us a pivot table with the date, but you know, well, I want that magic month and year thing that comes automatically. Okay, we can do that as well. So what we can do is we can make use of these. Ooh, let's do that one instead. These parameters. So we've got our pivot data and our pivot rows again. Those are exactly the same. But this time we're going to add these parameters. So we've got group data row. So which one is my date? And that's our order date. It's the row that's got the date in it. And which parts would we like to be able to have magically in our pivot table? We're going to have years, months and days. You can carry on to hours and minutes and seconds, of course. And also just because we are going to add in a pivot table style, and this time we'll make it medium one. There are a whole number that you can choose. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. We've got our table, got our beardy pivot, and this time, here we go, look at that, that's much better. We've got all of our wonderful pivots pivotable. So we can go to year, we can come out to see how it works by month, we could do that. Then you can add subtotals and all of those things that you expect as well. Lovely. Hope you're thinking of lots of ways that you can use this. So we've done a pivot table. What about if we do a pivot chart? Okay, guess what? It's pretty much the same thing. Exporting our Excel parameters is all as we expected. Everything about our pivot table, that's the same as what we did as well. And as long as the kitten doesn't lie on the keyboard, which he did, of course. What we've got here is a parameter that says include the pivot chart, and we give it a title and what type of chart that we want and which column would you like that to be on. So how far along do we have? So if we've got 4 columns, then we'll put it on the 6th column. And we're going to export that, and this time we create a new pivot table definition and add it to our export Excel, and sure enough we get our worksheet. We can then get our chart, which we can collapse, we can collapse, there we go. Oh yeah, well maybe we'll just go all the way down to year, and our chart works pivotally as we expect. Beautiful. What a great thing this is. I do love this. So lastly, before I finish, what we're going to do is we'll do some more on formatting. So formatting is pretty cool. Let's start off by doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this code. So this is my SQL instance. I'm going to see what databases I've got on my SQL instance. We'll just run this, and you can see in the databases I've got what have I got? I've got the famous bicycle manufacturer, and I've got a sock factory, a sausage factory, a car factory, a flower factory, a beard factory, a kitten factory, and some reporting, including a reporting data warehouse. So a lot of stuff going on there. And then I'm going to create a password. Don't ever do this. This is just for the demo. Please don't ever do this. But we're going to create a password, and I'm going to create a login with new DBA login for each one of these people. And if you look, there are some common names. There's Andre Kaman, there's we've got some Beard App, we've got Chrissy Lemaire, Claudia Silva, we've got Gianluca Sartori, John Martin, we've got a few others in here, William Durkin, some names that we recognize. And what we'll say is for each one of those, we're going to create a login on the instance, and then we've picked some roles. So these are database roles, and then we're going to say for every login, can you randomly get me a number of databases? And then for each one of those random databases for that login, get me a random number of roles. And then I'm going to create a new user on that database, and I'm going to add it to a random number of roles. And we'll see what we get. So I'm going to run this code now. And let that run. There we go. This is how cool DBA Tools is. DBA Tools can enable us to dynamically create things. We can put these things into our CI/CD processes. But we can just keep creating these users completely randomly. I have no idea what is going to happen at the end of this. It's kind of cool, isn't it? I'll let that keep running, and I'm going to come back and show you this notebook. So this notebook we're going to create is in my repository, and it's under notebooks. We'll choose not.net, and we will choose audit, and it is called instant permissions to Excel. So that's the entire notebook that does it. We've just put it in here because we're only talking about the import Excel part of it. So we're going to have an instance or a number of instances. One instance we're going to do for this one. Number of instances is in the notebook. And we're going to make sure we get our names out so that it's something we can put into a file, create our file name again. Got a worksheet name called permissions. Now we've got our PowerShell command, get DBA user permission for our instance, and we're going to pipe that through to export Excel. We've got our path, worksheet name, auto size, freeze top row, auto filter, pass through, all the things we've already seen. And this time we're going to add some conditional formatting. So we've got some rules here. So the rules took a little bit of time to understand, but the address is where we would like these rules placed, please. So it's in our Excel object from there, workbook, worksheets, we've got our worksheet name from here, and it's dimension.address, because that's what it is. And our worksheet, we access like this, and we're going to say it's a rule of type expression, because I've chosen expression just because it's kind of cool. then we say add conditional formatting with those parameters, and then have a condition value that is, don't worry about any errors, mate. Find me sysadmin in the G column, and if you do, change the background color to yellow and then stop. If you find DB owner, change the background to yellow and then stop. You find server logins in the E column, change the background color to green. If you find server securables, change it to blue. If you find DB role members, change it to the golden rod. If you find DB securables, change it to burly wood color. And then close our package. So this is going to gather all our information, put it into Excel, and then conditionally format the results that are there. Depending on the type of permissions that these users have, it's going to alter the columns. And once we finish doing that, then we want to add a front sheet to explain to people what they've got. So we've talked about doing that already, and this is exactly the same. We're going to open our package, we're going to add our worksheet, give it a name of title, move it to the start, don't bother telling me about it, thanks very much. And then we're going to add our date, and we're now going to add some information. So here you see how you can add a lot more information. So we're going to set a range for our title. I'm going to give some value, which is this worksheet shows the user permissions for each database on this instance at date, dynamically put in. We say the color-coded cells are as follows. Here we go, we can tell our users how they can interpret the results, how to filter by a database, how to filter by a user or a group or a login, and then we can set our colors to build a pretty picture, and then we close our Excel package, tell the user where it is, and open it. Well, let's have a look. We've randomly assigned some users and logins. Let's see what we get out of the end of it. We're going to go through. I expected it to work a little bit quicker than this, but I guess not. There we go. There we are. So we're going to open it. Here we go. Now you can see the results that we get. So we have got a worksheet that shows the user permissions for each database on localhost at the 5th of November 2020. Today's the 5th of November. And here we are. The cells are color-coded as follows. This tells us what they are. Here is the color coding for our users. Filter it by database on the object column. You can filter by user group, login on the members column. Well, let's have a look. There we go. Look at this. Isn't this great? So, what did we say? If something is green, the green cells show the logins on the server. So we can see that we've got Andre Kaman, Andre Leve. In fact, these are all of the users that we just added. Excellent. And it's got Mr. Rob is a sysadmin, of course he is, and SA is a sysadmin and is disabled. There we go. What else have we got here? So we've got the blue cells show the instant level permissions. What have we got in blue? We've got some blue telling us these users, their SQL logins, and they've got Connect SQL granted to them. Excellent. So that's some good information. What else can we see? Orange cells, database role permissions, memberships, and brown cells show the database permissions. Okay, well, let's pick some users. Let's see who we've got. So we'll pick Andre Kaman because he's at the top. We'll pick Chrissy Lemaire because she did DBA tools. We'll pick Gianluca Sartori because he is just a gorgeous human being. William Durkin, and of course the beard. And let's see. No idea what we've got. What have we got here? So Andre Kaman is allowed to look at the bicycle factory. Should we sort by them as well? What else has he got? He got the bicycle factory, he got the beard factory. I don't think that works. Andre can't grow a beard. He got the car factory and reporting. That kind of makes sense. Kitten factory, quick release, sausage factory. So he got quite a lot of databases, and the permissions he got well, he's a DB owner on the factory reporting one, but he's got, that'll be interesting, won't it? He's got DB data reader and deny data reader. Pop quiz. What's going to happen when he tries to read data? Look at Chrissy Lemaire. She's got server permissions. She can access. She's also DB owner of AdventureWorks and of Beard Factory and of Car Factory. She's got something completely different. Let's go down and see Gianluca Sartori. He's got Beard Factory. He didn't get Car Factory. That is so funny. Gianluca, you're not allowed to work in the car factory. But he did get the reporting, of course, and flowers. Apparently, Gianluca is our man for the flowers. If we keep going down, we'll see what's William Durkin got. So Mr. Durkin he's also, the bicycle factory seems to be very popular here with our users. Factory reporting. He has got the car factory, but he's only got data writer, so you can obviously only put data in. He's not allowed to read any data out from there. And he's got data DB owner on the flower factory as well. So that, I think, is a really cool demonstration of how you can use Import Excel, the module, to work with PowerShell and Excel workbooks. Hope you've enjoyed it. My name's Rob Sewell. Thank you very much.